they're a club that is coming from a long way behind. I think that's clear, that he's had a difficult job having to make major decisions along the course of the season. Now it gets to the summer, off the back of winning a cup, coming third in the league, in the Champions League. What do you do to improve this squad? And to me, the answer would always be quality, because if you're going to play for Man United, you have to have a certain ability technically. So people like Fred, who I think are not bad, but I think Fred could play for a number of Premier League teams, but not of the quality of a team that's trying to win the league. And then I would look at other players. Wan-Bissaka. Is Wan-Bissaka a player that I think he's done well this season? I think he's shown his qualities as a defender, but they need more, because United are renowned for their attacking, offensive play. De Gea, the goalkeeper. You know, is it worth paying so much money? If you're a striker and you're paid a huge amount of money, the expectation on you to score goals, and goals that goalkeepers can't save, is immense. So it's the same with a goalkeeper. You're expected to make unbelievable saves. And he does do that, but he has too many errors, in my opinion, which some listeners disagree with. Some Man United fans don't agree with that. But I do think there is a number of question marks over a lot of positions. Christian Eriksen was certainly a valid addition for his mentality and his ability. But is he a solution to progress Man United further on? I wouldn't say that at the moment. And it's not off the performance of yesterday's game. It's off of the performances probably in the last 3 or 4 months, Nat. Well, I think he's looked a little bit out of sorts, Eriksen. And he's a fabulous footballer. Jadon Sancho, what do you do with Jadon Sancho? You know, he has to have an enormous pre-season, a big one to prove. I think Garnacho, I talked about him yesterday, I think he's really a future for Man United on the left side. I think he's an absolute talent that will scare the life out of a lot of defenders. Whether they think he's ready, well, I do.
The Garnacho one's really interesting. We can see that he's an impact player at times, can't we? He's so, because he's still quite young and new, you could say he has that fearlessness. He wants to get on and he wants to just be a part of it. Now, how do you maintain that kind of attitude when we could be talking about him years down the line? And the reason you feel like he makes an impact right now is because he's quite fresh. Yeah. So how do you maintain that?
Well, he's got that. The one great thing about being younger is being quite naive and being fearless. Yeah. Fearless is a really important thing to have at Man United, because Ryan Giggs was fearless as a 17-year-old. Will he end up being like Ryan Giggs? I doubt it. But has he got signs of that early winger that just goes, I'll tell you what, give me the ball. I'm going to run at Kyle Walker. I'm going to run at him. Yes, he handled Vinicius Jr. brilliantly in the Champions League final, but he embraces the challenge of going up against somebody. And I love that about him. And now that's why I talked yesterday with Dwight York and said, I'd play him yesterday. I said, I'd play him because he's one thing that he can scare people. But I think the progression has got to be certainly, and players with Nat, which is probably the most important thing, is a mentality to play for Man United, because you have to have that. To play for the biggest clubs, you have to have a certain mentality with success in the dressing room and improving everything. You've got to be able to walk in there, hold your own and deliver. And that's what great United teams did.
Well, you mentioned David De Gea. Let's speak a little bit about him, shall we? Because after the full time yesterday on the game day phone-in, Darren Bent and Dean Saunders discussed the performance of United's number one, who once again this season has come under criticism for his performance.
It's definitely an issue, and I know, listen, we know, and a lot of Man United fans will probably come on and tell us that he won the Golden Glove, but I think you look at some of the mistakes that he's made over the course of this season, and it's cost Manchester United points. A game against Sevilla, it cost them with some of the goals that he let in.
Does he want to be there? I think the only reason he's there is because he can't get any more money anywhere else. He's on 375 grand a week. If he could have got it somewhere else, I'm sure he would have gone.
Okay, so that's Dean Saunders and Darren Bent's take on David De Gea. And Darren Bent is absolutely right. He did win the Golden Glove this season, kept 17 clean sheets. But for whatever reason, despite that, and which is a real positive, we can't help but still think that there is often error-strewn performances when it comes to De Gea.
Yeah, he has. He's not... Look, as much as Man United fans love him, and he will produce saves because he's capable, but he's not particularly great with his feet. Now, from what I've seen of Ten Hag's Ajax, is that they had Onana, the goalkeeper, who was very good with his feet. And it was important to the way they played Ajax under his, tenureship at the club. And I think that's the challenge. It's the same Joe Hart problem that, Pep Guardiola walked in and went, I want a certain type of keeper.
Yeah.
And it's not you. And yes, it's harsh and it's brutal, but that's what Pep wanted. Now, if I'm going to play out from the back, I've got to have players. I look at the back line and I think Wan-Bissaka is good enough to play out from the back. Not bad, but not to the level of what City are. Not to the same level, okay? No. The goalkeeper. Now, Ortega is far better than with his feet. Stefan Ortega yesterday, his feet, he can sort his feet out and he can play, and sometimes you're, not quite, but he can do it better than David De Gea. Lindelof. Now, not bad, again, can play, decent. Rafael Varane, I think, is a touch bit higher level than that. But is he as good as John Stones? No. John Stones has improved as well, by the way, and was always renowned for being a very good footballing
Ball
defender.
playing,
Yeah, he's always, but he's improved.
Yeah.
So I'd look at their back line alone and think, well, nearly all of them. Luke Shaw's probably the most capable at left back with his feet. He can, he's a good footballer, Luke Shaw. And he's had his troubles along the way, but I think that's sometimes to do with his a little bit of a weight issue, I always feel, whether he's at his fittest. So I look there, and then I look in midfield, and I think, Fred, well, there's another one. Would he get him Man City's team?